Yes, I can hear you.
Awesome, perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Call order at 7 p.m. with pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
A roll call, clerk, Supervisor Bobby.
Here.
Clerk Stefan here, Treasurer Joel.
Here.
Trustee Shelby is excused, and Trustee Nick.
Here.
No, the only thing I changed on the public, just so the public knows, CO2 and data center were kind of conjoined. I just branched them out because we're looking at the ordinance for CO2 and then the data center is just an update. So
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Public comment, 2 minutes only on agenda items only. Okay, that's okay. Anyone do that?
anybody online?
Moving right along. Approval of the previous minutes last month. We have two sets of them.
Is that better, Karen? Karen, can you hear us now? Is the microphone better?
Yes, that's better. Okay.
Thank you. These microphones are so dumb. They don't stay lit if they're on. So for the previous minutes, there's two, one for the special meeting and then one for
Good. Make a motion to accept the previous minutes of last month's board meeting of July 10th, 2025.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we got the special meeting we had to do for the fire department. That was July 18th, 2025.
So I'm a little confused because I did write minutes for this and I don't think this was the minutes.
No.
So, I'm just a little concerned with that because that should be like a 3-page document. Right?
I mean, I can give a rundown, but I'm also.
yeah, I mean, and it's
We did show that.
what's that? It was just the fire budget, yeah. Yeah.
Accepted it.
Well, we accepted the 705 budget, we denied the 847 budget, no capital,
There was no comments, I don't think.
yeah. So I will make sure that that's saved appropriately, because
So make a motion to.
I would just say accept them. I mean, they're,
You have to.
you have to anyway, so it was recorded, so even if there's not written, I can make a comment in the minutes to say, please review the video.
Seconded by,
I'll second that.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Disbursement.
Alright, so this month for payroll, it was 10,081.32 before taxes. You'll see Mark Davis and Eric King on here. There was a VOR meeting. That was really the only difference here, but they only get paid for the hour, which is $17. So
And then vendors was a total of 18,072.32. Normal type things, you'll see a code officials conference, that's for, Robert, the building inspector, to go for his, certification. And then legacy outdoor maintenance, that was their second quarter, payment. And then there was a roads, Monroe County Road Commission, bill. So that's a total of, everybody on Zoom, if you guys can make sure you're muted, please, thank you. So that is a total of 20,364.
I'll make the motion to accept the disbursements.
I'll second.
Before we kind of move on. So on Leonard and Grant,
Yes.
the lawyers and the David Arthur, that money is coming out, that people paid into? or
Yes,
the-
anytime that I review the bills, each time they come in, so anything that is associated with either the Verizon tower or the cell tower, and any of the other projects that we have going through, I mark that on a different tally. We only have the one GL account that just everything comes out of, and then we can look at it individually.
Still got money in the account.
We do, yeah, I keep track of that, and then I ask for more when it gets down. Oh, sorry. Supervisor Bobby,
Yes.
Clerk Stephanie, yes, Treasurer Joel,
Yes.
Trustee Shelby is excused, Trustee Nick.
Yeah.
And who motioned and seconded that, I'm sorry.
Joel did and then Nick. Fund balances.
Fund balances, your general fund is $199,967. Tax account is $135,387. Fire fund is $120,308. Your road fund has $100,887. And your ICS has $424,382. For a total of $980,933. We have $422,621 in CDs. You have a farm account at $72,840 for a combined total of $1,476,394.80.
That old national, can we get out of that, or did you already redo it?
I let it roll over one more time because I was busy.
What happens if can we break it early,
You
or
can,
is there a
you
penalty?
just get a little penalty, yeah.
It's not like we need the money right away. so
No,
let's,
I make a motion to accept fund balance.
I'll second.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Building report.
All right, so this month there were 4 building permits sent out, 2 electrical, 1 mechanical, 1 plumbing. Robert did 5 inspections and he did 2 plan reviews and had 18 hours of office time. He had a very busy July.
Building permits. Those are auditor, or so high in the building department. Make motion to sub the building report.
Or I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Assessor's report.
Hello, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm reviewing parcels on Day Road and Dennison Road utilizing aerials and GIS mapping to start. Other work and information, I conducted the July board review with 2 adjustments. Residential class starting ratio is 44.67. I'm gathering sales for residential land and improved sales to calculate the land values and economic condition factors for the residential class for 2025 assessments to bring them up to 50% of true cash value. I reviewed and prepared land combination approval letter for Clark Perforating. I attended additional BSNA cloud training for assessing. Looking ahead, I'm going to continue field reviews, organize building permit field visits, and continue working on 2025 values. And also prepare the 591 clerk statement for statement of taxes due October 1st, 2025. Respectfully submitted, Karen Lee.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I make a motion to accept the assessor's report.
I'll second that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Karen.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Ordinance report.
Mr. Doobie had 3 blight complaints. 19,100 Cone Road, 10,699 Dennison Road, and 18,190 Sherman Road. He's working on all 3 of those. And I noticed the one on Dennison, barn that was falling down has been fully stripped outside and new roof and new side. Looks real nice. Cleaning up on that side. That's it.
I make a motion to accept the ordinance report.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, got fire department. Last month, total 109 incidents in our 4 municipalities, and 15, Milan had 15. Milan Township had 15 calls, which is mostly all medical more than anything else. I think there's 1 or 2 fires, and that was pretty much about it. Which brings our total to which 15 is a common number. I mean, it's usually 15 calls, 13 calls, 9 calls, 15, 25. 25 is a high. So we're trending in the right area with our fire department for the moment. Gotta work on one thing, but
For, I just want to confirm, because I know that, we have North Platte and South Platte. So the 13467 Platte Road, is that, do we know for sure that that was South Platte?
But like I said, most of them are EMS calls. They had 1 major fire, we just got Bill on that one. That was a green.
That was in June.
Yeah, that was a bad ordeal there.
I make a motion to accept the fire department report.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Moving on to the sheriff's report. We only had 8 incidents last month, which is very light, because normally we got 49, 50, 60, 31, 37. An average is right around 30. I actually called him out on it, because one time he had 300 calls.
Yeah.
He kept looking at the wrong report. That's when I said, can you double
It's
check
probably
that? He said,
Bedford or something.
yeah, he said, no, it was 8, you guys are pretty well down. I said, didn't have much going on. It was a pretty light month for the sheriff's department.
Motion to accept the sheriff's.
I'll second that.
All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Fire department update. So we agreed at the last meeting to do $705,000 budget to the fire department, and me and Shelby went there, and we got voted out. They went for $847,000, they gave themselves raises, and they voted in 100,000 capital, so it's really $947,000. I'm fighting this tooth and nail because we have a little problem with accounting up there. There's a fire administration, and we're trying to find out where the money is, and I want to delay this for 3 months to see where we're at, so we can kind of move forward. And we're told no, so we're stuck with the $947,000. We already called the lawyer and talked to him, and we don't know what we're gonna do yet. It's up in the air. More than likely, that kind of money, everybody's taxes are gonna go up. So the next fire board meeting is a week from tonight at 5:30 at Fire Barn. If you wanna,
I encourage everybody to
yes,
come. It's a very disheartening situation. Not that the fire department's not important, but appropriate accounting and appropriate tax tax money use is important too. For the amount of calls that Milan Township gets, it's very disheartening to see that we have to pay, our portion is 20%. So I think with the 847, we have to pay 162 and some change, 162,000 and some change for operational, and then about 20 for capital, and I believe the 847 included incident runs. So now, are you sure?
No.
Okay. I guess that is one win that we got. Previously, we've been having to pay not only the operational costs, but also incident runs on top of that. So it was sort of a double dipping situation. So we were able to get that rectified. But I encourage everybody, talk to your London Township friends, your Milan City friends, your York Township friends. People are unaware of what is happening, and not like I said, not to say that the fire department is not important, and it's obviously a needed necessity, but I want to make sure that our tax dollars are being appropriately spent. We were supposed to have about $600,000 in the capital account. There's only $264,000, and nobody has been able to tell us where that money went because of the previous administration. So like Mark said, we tried to just say, let's just do the bare minimum, see where we are in 6 months, and reevaluate. But we were unfortunately voted against, and I don't believe it is appropriate that 3 other municipalities get to tell me how I'm gonna spend my residents' money. Because you guys have given us the okay to spend 134, because you guys voted in a millage. And then, you know, thankfully we have a general fund that allows for additional things to be paid for, but when I can't tell you how that 134 plus is getting spent, I don't feel good about it. So that's kind of where we're sitting now.
I just wanted to pump the brakes on the whole thing until we could figure out where everything's at. That was my big fear. And I think because the money wasn't in the appropriate places, I think everybody's looking at this like, look how this money, we can do all this. Well, yeah, but it's in the wrong account. Should have been in the other account. That's buy equipment purchases, fire truck if you need it, or heavy duty purchase equipment.
And looking at just similar volunteer fire departments, it is just very askew on salaries and everything. So there's just a lot of questions that I feel should have been answered before we okayed a almost $1 million budget. Because if we okayed it this year, I mean, they started out this year asking for 1.1 million. So,
947,000.
and they ended up with 947,000. Again, 100 of that is capital, but again, if it doesn't get put into the right account, it's not going to be spent. So that's where we're at. So I apologize if, you know, you guys see taxes going up, and, you know, I don't think it'll be an issue tax-wise, just because your guys' millage takes care of a majority of it, and we have a general fund that can supplement, but we're lucky we have a surplus in our general fund.
Where's it at? What time?
5:30 next Thursday. At the
5:30
fire
next
department.
Thursday, that's fire department. So.
I just want to pump the brakes on it. For like
If you
3
guys
months.
do come, please be respectful like you guys are here. You know, it's a very touchy subject for a lot of people. I mean, money is scarce nowadays, and we want to make sure that everything's being spent appropriately. But please come respectfully, ask questions during public comment, and just, I encourage everybody to just be more aware of where your tax dollars are being spent.
On the average, they do about 1,400 calls a year, which is average about 4 calls a day. A lot of money spent for 4 calls a day. And that's an average. I mean, they could have 10 calls one day and no calls the next day, so. They're doing about 1,400 calls and 80% of it's not. That's all we gotta do. The CO2 ordinance. Nick, for a minute.
Ordinance. It is called the Township, Elk County, Michigan Regulated Carbon Sequestering Exploratory Wells and Structure Ordinance. That's a mouthful.
CO2 works for me.
CO2, okay. So this was presented to us a couple months ago by the engineer. We made some tweaks on it, and he changed a few things and took our tweaks into consideration, and we voted to put this in our meeting Tuesday. And the reason we voted to move this in and move it in quickly is to have something on our books to protect us, or try to protect us with the well that may or appears to be going in down on Ann Arbor and Okie Road by DTE, which is a carbon sequestering well. So we don't have a lot of authority when it comes to wells. When you have a well, you go to the county, you get a permit for the well, and you don't go to the township. And when there's a well like this put in, they go to the state and get a permit. So the township doesn't have a lot of authority, and this was just trying to get us some say, you know, where it can be and get some kind of control. We don't know how much control we're really gonna get with this, but it's something to get in there. Is it perfect? It's probably not perfect, but it's something we need to get in to try to give us some kind of power to at least have some say in what's going on. Talk about a well, over 4,500 foot deep. Talking about pounding in a 2-foot diameter steel pipe, pounding it and driving it to 80 feet. That's a lot of driving. That's a lot of that's a lot of vibration in an area. You're talking about a 2-foot. It's probably 1.5 inches steel. You know, so that's to drive that down 80 feet, and then they're going to go inside that with a pipe. And then they go inside the next with another pipe, and then they go down further and go in with another pipe until they get down to a smaller pipe. But it's going to be probably 4,500 more. Everybody here, and I'm sure most people here, I can say everybody, but I'm sure most people here are concerned about it, because when we had a meeting Tuesday, we had a house full, and usually we have standing room only. Nobody. But we had a larger audience, and that was the concern. Was well, you know, everything that came up was valid concerns that we had already. You know, when we went up and talked to them at the school. But it's how do we get any control? So this is, you know, this is what we're trying to get here, and a lot of it is definition. So it's, you know, it's not a real big ordinance when you go through it, but you know, it's got some fees and the setbacks. That's probably your biggest issue there. Your setbacks from different things. If you look on page 5, there's your setbacks. You know, a mile from the municipality boundary, the school, public place of assembly, hospital, nursing home, nursing home. But you know, this is what we're trying to do to make sure it just isn't, they're not all over. You know, there's some financial assurance they got to put in place. We don't have a lot of meat in it because it's just difficult to get any meat, but at least we'll know what's going to come in, and we can, you know, look at it beforehand instead of like what's happening right now. You know, they come in and told us we're going to do this. Really, they didn't have to come in here and tell us. We could have been going in, and we'd all just wondering what the heck's going on over. So this is, so I think the main thing is we at least get it up front. We'll be able to monitor it. We're going to get fees in for monitoring it. So, you know, if you want to go through this, I think more use this.
I think we should
You review
do
it.
this next month.
Right, review it and
As
next
soon
month.
as we got it, I would like every comment from everybody who's concerned, because I'm concerned too about this. I particularly don't want it, but from what I've been advised by a senator, commissioners, and it's really hard, it's kind of a hard thing to stop. I did talk to a judge, and put the halts to it for a bit, but you know, how long is it gonna last? I think we need to put something in place, but I want everybody's comments, email me something, what your concern is. This is gonna be on our internet. We'll get this on the internet, so everybody can review it, look at it. I want everybody to review it, look at it, and tell me what you think we need to do different. I want some input. Because I'm not voting on this tonight. I wanna do it next month. I wanna go through this and read it, because I just showed up at the meeting and kind of popped in, so I didn't really read it. Has the lawyer looked at this yet?
No.
No, okay, so we'll send it to the lawyer.
Yeah. The lawyer needs to review it, so. You got some questions, send them, please. So I can put it, send it to the lawyer along with it, maybe we need to change something, I don't know. So I'd like to table it till, next month.
Well, what I'll motion is, I'll motion to receive it and send it to the lawyer. So we'll motion to receive it from the planning commission, send it to the lawyer to bring back next month
Good with that?
for review and.
Good with that, Joe?
I live with that. I mean, obviously, there's something else coming out here too, if they're putting.
It's all connected.
If you're going 4,500 feet down, you could go 10 miles that way, it wouldn't bother you
Right.
down here.
Right.
Or, you know,
There's an end game that they're being very sneaky, especially with, you know, you got this coming in and then a data center at the same time wants to come in.
Right.
I mean, it just, and we've asked them point blank, what's your end game? And they're just being very secretive about everything.
The lady from DTE, when she talked to me after the school, I said, what's really, what is this really for? What's going on? I don't understand. You're sequestering the country. And in order for them to do what they want to do out there, which is to put in a natural gas power plant on Ann Arbor Road. So they want to put in a natural gas power plant and they want to have it up and running when the coal-fired power plant in Monroe shuts down 2032, that's supposed to be shut down. So when that shuts down, they want to have this natural gas one up and running over here. So the end game is bigger than
So
putting a well in
they're,
the ground.
so
They
they're,
can't do that unless they have one of these wells, and I don't know if that's a state rule or federal.
but then them coming in saying this is a research to make sure it's geologically right. That was just a
I mean, they,
smoke show.
well, they may be, you know, obviously if they go down and there's problems, then they're gonna have to say where they're gonna put it. But the lady told me that they cannot put in a new natural gas power plant unless they have one of these wells. And like I said, I don't know if that's a state reg or a federal reg, but, so that's the end game there. Now, the data center, when I talked to them afterwards, to verify what I heard, they said that data center over here that they want to put in is going to take between 500 and 800 megawatts of power. And I was like flabbergasted, that's a lot for one building. That is a lot because the coal-fired power plant in Earlville is a 3,400 megawatt plant. And this will take 800. So the smaller, what they're building right now, natural gas power plants are these smaller plants. They're not building the big plants like they used to. They're doing a lot of small plants and more of them. And they built one down in Alabama. My son was working down there on these plants, tearing one of the coal fired down. And they sent me a picture. He sent me a picture of one that is an 800 megawatt plant. And I showed a few people here, and I showed you guys with it. And it's just funny that natural gas plant they showed me is an 800 megawatt plant. And that's what they're trying to put in. Smaller plants. So there's going to be a data center here, possibly, if, you know, the way it looks, they're pushing for it. And they're pushing for a data center just north of here.
in Augusta, and there's, they wanted to do one in York, and then
York.
Saline, there's one in.
That's a
Saline.
lot of power, 1, 2, 3,
And
4,
and my electric bill just keeps going up.
right in this lane, that's a lot of power, so,
They're talking about what it doesn't.
a data plant.
Well, yeah, that's
That's
gonna
a lot.
connect with ours. They're gonna be side by side.
Okay, so,
Yeah, it's gonna be half Dundee's,
Yeah.
half mine.
So,
oh, yeah,
just let you know, Nick, unfortunately, you're going with a tour with me here at, first of September, middle of the month. We're going on tour with
let's finish up the CO2 ordinance one, because we're kind of diving into the data center, so I motion to receive the ordinance for the CO2 to send to the lawyer and bring back next month. Do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Thanks.
Roll call it.
Supervisor Roby,
Yes.
Rich Lynn, yes, Treasurer Joel,
Yes.
Shelby, Trustee Shelby's absent, and Trustee Nick.
Yes.
So, just kind of piggybacking off of what we were just talking about, so the data center update, I mean, Nick kind of segued into it.
Yeah.
Do you want to, I mean,
There's much more to say. It's, I mean, the data center, according to our ordinance book, it's allowed.
so my thing with the data center is I don't think we have, an ordinance in place. Correct, Pat? We don't have, we don't really have anything. So I would really like to have either the planning commission, or if we can work with Dave specifically, because I know they're busy doing stuff too, create something sort of like they just did with the CO2 to get something in place. Because my fear with the data center, because in the one in Augusta, that one is going to be completely water cooled. We ain't got water up here. And I know that when the gentlemen were here spouting their story, they said this one was gonna be refrigerant. But I would like something in our ordinance to say something about large volume water, factories, plants, whatever, are not allowed. Because we just don't have the water capacity. I mean, I don't have water at home, I haul it. I don't want you guys to have to haul your water too, it's a pain in the ass. But I would just hate for us not to have something in our books to say, at least, hey, if we can't stop it, let's regulate it
Right.
to what is appropriate in this area. I don't think anybody, again, I'll kind of piggyback off what Nick says, I'm not gonna speak for everybody, but majority of people I've spoken with do not want these things in our area, but unfortunately, we do have an industrial area that our zoning states is an appropriate use for this, but I wanna make sure that it's not going to negatively impact our residents in terms of water and electricity and all of that. So,
Good with that.
I don't know if, I'm sure Dave has, an ordinance that he probably already has one teed up for us, because he's just amazing like that. So if we could maybe talk to Dave to get an ordinance going and at least have something in there about large volume, water volume.
I would think that they would use water from Monroe. They wouldn't drill a well.
Well-
because Sulfur,
Piggyback into that.
Well,
sulfur in electronics is
so
Awesome.
we just,
iffy for a minute.
we just received a pre-development agreement, well, we didn't. Our lawyer just received a pre-development agreement from the Cloverleaf, the data center people. Pretty much wanting our lawyer to okay this agreement that would preemptively make, if we signed it, preemptively okay us to go ahead and that we're saying, yes, we want this here, and then preemptively agree to a 425 agreement down the road. And for those of you that don't know what 425 is that we would give up a portion of our township to the village of Dundee. We had to do it for the city a while back. So that's kind of what they're wanting to do. Our lawyer, talking to him, advised against it because there's real no benefit to the township. And why would we give up land to the village of Dundee? But that's how they would connect the water. When the gentlemen were here, they assured us that the only reason they would need water is for potable water, for drinking, for people that are working and not for cooling. But I don't trust that as far as I can throw it.
Right.
So,
So now we're coming up with, they wanna bring a, public water district in here out of Dundee. Wants to do a 425 agreement, so that would be like a 90-year deal where we get the land for 90 years, but after that it goes to Dundee and it's their baby, especially turns into Dundee. If we get smaller, we'll look like Centerline, Michigan after a while, we can't even go anywhere. So I don't agree with the 425, I agree with a public water
utility
district.
district,
Yeah,
public utility district,
How big a chunk was that?
125 acres or 127 acres. So majority of it is in Dundee Township.
Right.
But from talking to the lawyer, when he was looking, he goes, it's that Sears property that they bought a couple years ago. And what he thinks happened is that Sears said, we're not gonna sell you it unless you can get all of it. Like, you can't just buy the Dundee piece, you have to buy the Milan Township piece too. So I think that's why they're kind of pushing for a 425 agreement.
but again, the lawyer made a good comment was, the 425 is kind of ridiculous in a sense, because we have to do a 425 with Dundee and give up our part of our township. I don't wanna do that. Secondly is, did Dundee Village give up Dundee Village to Monroe, because that's where the water comes from? Did Ida, Petersburg? No, they all have a public water district. We're gonna do the same thing. We're not giving up 425, it's not happening, not on my watch. I want us to grow crop, correctly and properly, I don't want to give up land for ridiculous.
And I agree with the no land piece of it, but also if something of this nature is going to come into our township, there should be a benefit to our township. You can't just say it's gonna bring billions of dollars of tax revenue, because that's not even something tangible. You know, give us free electric for, 10 years, or give us
Bring
water,
water,
bring water, bring natural gas in, bring something that's gonna benefit us that,
Buy us a fire truck.
what is the fire department out here for?
Right. But no, I mean, since we're in this.
Yeah.
Four municipality thing, maybe we can get something out of it, get to where,
Right.
them pay half. I mean,
So if it's like Nick said, if it's not something that we can stop, I would like to try to regulate it and get as much benefit out of it as
For
possible for everyone. So,
How many data centers do they have to have in this area?
I don't know,
That's
it sounds like
four
5.
or five.
They got
So,
53
I-
in the state of Michigan right now.
So I also, when the gentlemen were here, I asked about federal subsidies, and you're the first person to ask that. We don't take any federal subsidies. But it's just so funny that those federal subsidies are drying up in 26, but if you break ground before 26, you get the subsidies. It's just funny that you bring it in June and they're wanting to break ground like tomorrow.
So this 425 agreement, they want us to sign it tomorrow. Absolutely not.
They told the lawyer they wanted feedback by tomorrow. He got it on Monday and he sent it to us, and I saw it yesterday. And I called him and he's like, we're not gonna have feedback to them by Friday, like,
But the
it's not enough
contract's
time.
legal, it says
Pre-development agreement, yeah.
Can't
So-
say
So that is the updates.
that. So anyway, this type, we'll get rid of this and move on to the next thing, but
So,
all the residents, if you guys send me an email, your concerns and what you'd like to see maybe in ordinance, give me some ideas, we'll forward on the lawyer.
so we're wanting to then touch base with Dave to get
Absolutely.
a data center and something regarding large volume water. Do we need to vote, do motion or anything on that, or?
That's it, goes into the CO2 ordinance, I
That's
think, it's, yeah. Moving on to new business, lawyer.
So I brought this up because we have talked previously in the past about our legal, firm, and that we might want to think about getting different legal counsel.
Actually, our lawyer suggested we go to. Foster.
No, we don't have, no, Foster and Swift is just for the.
It is, but he kind of recommended that we call it about some of this.
Oh, yeah. So right now we have Leonard, Graham and Goldsmith. But with some of these other bigger things, I'm almost wondering if we need to hire counsel with a law office that is a little bit more familiar with this type of stuff. So, I know I don't know if it's the village of Dundee or if it's Township, they have Carrie Bondi, and I know that, Tim Dewey has said that they're really great to work with. But I didn't also know if we wanted to maybe look at Foster and Swift to see what their,
I give what call.
retainers are to see, so.
We call, get some information on that.
Because I would like a little bit more, direction on not only the CO2 and the data center, but also how our fire department, situation works, because I think we're an anomaly in that, the fire department isn't owned by one municipality and then contracted, by the other ones. We all own it equally. So I think that's what's making it
Percentage wise,
right. We all own it equally, 25%.
in a sense.
We each have a 25% say, maybe not financially,
Correct.
but
As a
every,
vote we do, but
every
as a-
vote,
yes.
correct, but I think that's what's getting carried is. Yeah. So, so Mark, you want,
I'll call
you'll
it.
call Foster and Swift and carry Bondi?
Done, we're on.
Sorry, Sarah, I should have you at the top.
What did you handle here?
So I'm Sarah Rathko, I am the auditor for the township. So let's see, I have an audit report, and turn to page 1. And this is our independent auditor's report. In the second paragraph, it says, in our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the township. So this is what we call an unmodified opinion. It's the best audit opinion we can get. So good job there. The second letter on pages 4 and 5 is our independent auditor's report on internal control in accordance with government auditing standards. So you have this letter because of the ARPA funds that you're still spending. Once the federal funding dries up and you don't have the federal grants anymore, this letter will go away. But in the third paragraph in the middle of it, we state that a material weakness is a deficiency or combination of deficiencies in internal control, or there's a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement would not be prevented or detected and corrected on a timely basis. We did have 4 material weaknesses for you this year, and we'll get to those in just a bit. And then in that last sentence, in the last paragraph on that page, we state that the results of our tests disclose no instances of non-compliance or other matters that are required to be reported. So when it came to looking at your ARPA funds, everything was spent appropriately, we have no issues or concerns there. If we want to look at the weaknesses we found, jump to page 48. And I'll preface by saying I think most of these are, I would consider already resolved or in the process of being resolved. So that was really good news. The first one is financial statement preparation. I would say out of all of my audit clients, I only have one client that does not get this comment. It's just that you don't have the accounting staff here to prepare this blue book. You don't have a CPA to do the financial statement disclosures and all of that. So when we submit this to the state, they say, do you have financial statement or do you have material weaknesses other than financial statement preparation or segregation of duties? It's a very common comment to have. It's just, we're not fully independent because we're preparing it for you, so we have to disclose it. The second one was for audit adjustments. During the audit, we identified and proposed adjustments to adjust the township's general ledger to appropriate balances in all funds. Again, you don't have the accounting staff here to ensure that all accounts are properly recorded, and you rely on us to make some of these adjustments. We state that no further action is required as all the adjustments have been posted. We've evaluated the cost versus benefit of hiring somebody that could do like the year-on accruals, changes in capital assets, depreciation, etc. And we've decided it's in your financial best interest to let us do it instead of you do it yourselves. So again, a very common comment to have. The third one, failure to reconcile bank accounts. This one is in the works of getting corrected. So nothing was wrong with cash. There was no missing cash. It just wasn't reconciled to the treasurer's books and the clerk's books, just didn't balance with each other. So we had to do some adjustments to move, some of the money around just in the accounting system, not in the banks. So obviously we want everything to balance. I know the new deputy treasurer is helping with this. So, I would expect that this is resolved by the time we do next year's audit. And you've agreed with this. And then the last one, we'll see it as we go through the financial statements, but failure to comply with budgeting statutes. We had a couple of funds with budgets that were either adopted with, negative or deficit fund balances, or just where expenditures were over, the budgeted amounts. So, that's just something you're gonna wanna take a look at before your year end next year, you make sure your budgets are good to go, and I can certainly help with that if you need to look at anything over. But with that, let's jump to page, well, is there any questions on that before I move on? Okay. If you jump to page 36, we'll look at your actual financials. Pages 36 and 37 is your general fund. So you're all familiar with this now. We show your original budget, your final budget, the actual amount, and then the variance is the variance between the final budget and the actual. So looking down the actual column, your total tax revenues were 160,000. They were right in line with the prior year. Your licenses and permits were about 22,000. They were up 14,000. We also saw an increase in your building inspection expenditures. Federal grant, which is your ARPA funds, was 19,289. State grants totaled 179,000. They were up about 4,000 from last year. We had charges for services of 3,000. Interest, this was really nice to see. Interest income was 32,500. That was up 14,000 from last year. So you've moved some money into those ICS accounts, and we've definitely seen an increase there. Rents, 8,900, and then other revenues, 8,100. So your total revenues were 433,000. Expenditures under general government, I'll just hit the highlights of where we saw the biggest increases. Legal services was 13,000. That was up about 7,000 from last year. And then buildings and grounds was 50,000. That was down about 18,000. On the next page, your building inspection was 24,000. That was up 10,000 from last year. Public works, we saw some decreases in both cemetery and road maintenance. The total public works expenses was 57,000. And then your community and economic development was 19,000, just up a little bit from last year. So your total expenses were 323,000. This is one of the funds you can see, you were over budget by about 15,000. So we made a comment on that. You transferred out $1,500 to the streetlight fund. So your general fund had an increase in its fund balance of about 108,000 and ended with a fund balance of 1.2 million. So you have a good, healthy fund balance. The next fund on page 38 is your road improvement fund. This one had property tax revenues of 161,000. That was up about 6,000 from last year. Your local community stabilization was 431 bucks. Expenses in this fund were 312,000. They were up about 13,000. Here you decreased your fund balance 150,000 and ended with a deficit of 5,700. So this fund, we had an issue with the budgets. And I think the final budget, something just happened with the property taxes didn't get budgeted like they should have been.
You're on the wrong line item, I think we.
Yeah, yeah. And we'll see the same thing in the fire and rescue fund. And then the biggest recommendation I can give is if you're ending with a deficit, you just want to make sure to transfer money from the general fund and budget for that, because that's ultimately where that money's gonna come from anyway. The next page is your fire and rescue fund. Property tax revenues here were 134,000. They were up about 5,000 from last year. We had some local community stabilization and a little bit of interest income. Expenses here were 173,000. They were up about 20,000 from last year. And then in this fund, you had a decrease in your fund balance of 36,000, ended with a fund balance of 109,000. The liquor law fund on page 40, this one has no activity, you just have $2,900 sitting there that we really can't do anything with because it's restricted, you can only spend it on those types of activities. And then the streetlight fund on page 41 had assessment revenues of 10,000, expenses of 12,000, transferred in $1,500 from the general fund, and ended with a fund balance of $225. This one, I think you've already increased your assessments a little bit to make up for the deficit.
But when you said for 2,899, it's a restricted fund, and that's because that is at the liquor fund.
Again, yeah,
We can't get rid of that fund.
as far as I know, no.
Is it just because we've obviously had liquor licenses here in the past?
That's what the money, so when you get liquor license fees, when those come in, they have to be spent on either at the inspector or any of the safety expenses that come with it, so, yeah, so that's why. You could reach out to the state, Carrie J. Vaughn would be a great resource. I'm just thinking like, say, like,
What if it was
2,900
$20? Like, you know, and it's just sitting
Yeah.
there and we don't have any liquor licenses in the township.
We have some municipalities that have sewer funds with like a couple $1 million in them, and they're basically tapped out, like they're at their boundaries, there's nowhere else it can
Oh,
go.
wow.
So, yeah, we see it sometimes, but, yeah. If you jump to page 33, we'll just look at a couple of your footnotes. The first couple pages of your notes are just your accounting policies, and those haven't changed, so we won't spend any time on those. Note 4 is your deposit footnote, and in that first paragraph, we show that the township had 1.5 million invested in CDs, checking accounts and savings accounts and money markets. Of that, 1,046,000 was insured by the FDIC, which left uninsured deposits of 478,000. That's actually really good. With moving some of those money to the ICS accounts, you get full FDIC coverage. It's hard to insure all of your cash because you're limited at how much insurance you can get at each bank. Note 5 is your capital asset footnote. Your capital asset additions this year were $9,300 for buildings, and that was signage. And then $28,500 in equipment, that's your BSNA software. Net capital assets after depreciation was just over $300,000. Note 6 is your property tax footnote. We show that the valuation was 108 million, and that you retain 41,000 as admin fees for the above tax collection. Note 7 just shows what each fund owed the other at the end of the year. If we skip to page 35, note 10. Related party transactions, this talks about your relationship with the Milan area fire department. And we show here that you've incurred costs of $172,908 for fire protection, of which $168,945 was paid and $3,900 remained payable at the end of the year. Note 11 is the building department. This footnote just states that the fees you collected of about $22,000 did not exceed the related costs and administrative overhead. So everybody gets confused by this footnote. As long as your building fund is operating at a loss, and that would include the fees collected minus the true building fund or building inspection expenses for payroll and that type of thing, and then any overhead that you could allocate as well. As long as it's operating at a loss, it can be included in the general fund. If it's operating at a profit, there's nothing wrong with it. It just has to be in its own separate fund. So with where you're at now, it's still operating at a loss. It's fine to be included in the general fund. And then note 12 is your contingent liability for the federal grant. So this just talks about the ARPA funds that you received. This year, your expenditures were $19,289, and at year end, you still had $57,579 left to spend. So these just, they had to be appropriated by December 31st of 24, which they were, and they just have to be spent by the end of 2026. And that is all I have. Does anybody have any questions?
A little better than last year.
Yeah, every year it gets better and better, so it's good to see.
Anything you do differently or better?
No, I think the suggestions with the budget, that's a big thing. Once that gets squared away, I mean, that material weakness will fall off very easily, and then the bank recs too. As long as the clerk and the treasurer can reconcile their books monthly, then you're in great shape. And I would say, if your cash is in balance, you're 95% of the way there. Otherwise, we might have to move some, we have to do a reclass entry, but this expense here, it should have been here, that's no big deal. And really, your books are clean when it comes to that type of thing, so if you guys can reconcile together, then this audit will be.
Joel and I have had that conversation with Rhonda, that's what we're gonna be working on.
That's why she's gonna be here.
Yes. She does U of M's budget, so I think, yeah.
So next
I think she can
year.
handle this one.
Yeah.
Perfect. Awesome.
All right, Sarah, thank you.
One quick question, is there anything like, I remember when I first started here, like having too much money for a small township.
There's not really such a thing as having too much money, because you're always gonna have expenses come up. Your fund balance policy. So you say in your policy that you want to maintain in stable economic times a fund balance of at least 15% of the township's general fund operating expenses. So you're well over that. I mean, your operating expenses are 324,000. So you take, 15% of that, it's really not much. You have 1.2 million. But, you're supplementing your fire department. If you had a major road project come up, your road millage is not gonna be enough to cover it. You're gonna have to have supplements from the general fund. So I'm not concerned by it. I would just make sure you have a plan for it.
I will say with the fire fund, last year we did spend 168,000 like they wanted this year. So it's not gonna be an increase for us, it's actually gonna be the same.
Budget for a little better. Want to make a motion to accept the 24-25 audit? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, sorry.
Opposed?
Thank
Motion carries.
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Sarah.
So, the cemetery, which is, I think, we kind of already discussed this last month. We don't have any rules, regulations in place, by, we're supposed to have a rules and etiquette for every cemetery, so. I think we just count on driveways, so you need to have one at entrance. Either one's an entrance, so you need two for every one for every driveway, so I think Azalea's got 2 driveways, that'd be 2 signs. Rice has 4 driveways. Fortunately, Spalding has 1, a cow path. So they're $50 plus a post, so we're gonna need 6 of them. They're single-sided. They're 24 by 24, and it is basically, it's a kind of a dusk to dawn rule for the cemetery, it's something we need to post. It's legit.
And these rules came out of our ordinance.
No, yes and no. It's kind of something, it's
I
a
mean-
generalized, rules.
Oh, I see, complete rules. are
But we want to do dawn to dusk, we can't put hours on it because middle of summer, it's
Oh, no, yeah.
9 o'clock is still light, we're middle of winter, 6 o'clock it's dark. So they do dawn to dusk. We brought this in front of the cemetery commission and everybody seemed to like it, so we'll bring it back to board for a year or nay.
Should we do double-sided so people see it
When they
coming
leave
in
too.
and go? I mean, is that,
Unless you're coming in, it's not a one way, so you could.
we could do a loop? Yeah,
I like to see it on one side, actually.
I just saw that there was an option over here.
Yeah.
And for $50 that's not that
Right.
much, what would be $100 then?
It might not be that much, because
Right.
you're double sided sign already, so I
Right.
can check on it first.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, because if you go by this, you might see a sign that has nothing on it.
right,
You should have it around.
and even at, let's just even say it's $100 for double-sided at $600, I mean, that's less. So I would,
Yeah.
just so
What's
you
the
could,
post?
how much the post?
10 months. Sounds like fun.
100%. So do we want a motion to accept for a specific amount, so that way if it's under that,
Yeah.
you can go ahead with this, so we don't have to bring it back?
Yeah, so it'll be 660
Up to,
bucks.
Up to say $800 just to be safe,
Let's do 700.
700. I make a motion to
$700 both
suspend,
sides.
yep. To spend up to $700 for double-sided signs plus posts. That's more than that, to bring it back. I don't think so, but.
Let's do a roll call on that.
Yeah, everybody good with the verbiage though?
You could have made it smaller.
Right,
You
yeah.
would have had a hard time reading it, but that's all right.
Whose number is going on that?
Oh, that was a question that came up. It's good you brought that up.
Yeah,
We're gonna
because-
do a phone number, we're just gonna do.
I would just
email
say,
address,
yeah, if it is any issues, please contact,
the clerk or
Yeah.
the supervisor or, yeah, whoever.
yeah, cause I don't want my
We're
phone
not, no,
number
we're
out
not
forever. I'm planning on being here forever, but I don't know.
Alright.
So we'll change, yeah, so change the contacts.
We can discuss.
Supervisor Bogey,
Yes.
Clerk Steffi, yes, Treasurer Joel,
Yes.
Trustee Shelby is excused, and Trustee Strong.
yes.
Alright, on to the deputy. Deputy supervisor position. She came today, put her keys in today. She had some health issues. She's been very helpful in just moving forward and do what we need to do. I really don't need another deputy right now. I can just kind of weasel off you a little bit on yours and yours too. We just don't need to spend the money. So right now, it should have just, we're gonna do a mutual separation. She's good with that. She said she got any more, she dropped off her keys today, picked up some personal items. She said, she dropped off, I think, the ordinance book. She gets anything else, she said she dropped it off.
And did she make like a list of all the things that we need to make?
Yeah,
sure
she made a
like,
list that you need to get her off of
She was
Facebook,
very
Oh, yeah.
thorough with everything, which was very.
which I'm glad, I mean,
Yeah.
that's kind of bonus. So, other than that, it's not that, so I don't need one right now. I'll do it right now. All right, board member comments. I've got a lot. We called Monroe County Road Commission, talked to the main drain guy for ditches, and he's gonna build me just like I have this road thing underneath this desk, I can get it, I'll show you. But it shows anytime a road is touched in our township, a gravel road, when it was last done, it shows the miles. Some of these roads don't even have a date on it, because they've never been touched in 30 years, so we're trying to work on it to get them all done. They're gonna build me a drainage map with the same thing, so I can keep track of what we cleaned and kind of keep on top of it, so. I think it's important. Get drainage, don't have road issues in bad, so they're gonna do that for nothing, so. And I think that's really all I got. Oh, Karen does need a new computer. We did get a bid back, I want to get one more back, and then we need to probably replace. We need a couple laptops. This one's still working, I think we're good with it.
She needs a new laptop, correct?
She needs one, yes, if she remotes in when she does her job. I would like to do maybe a laptop a year, instead of buying 3 laptops now. Let's,
Well, because didn't Robert need one as well?
yes,
Okay.
so we can kind of mosey him into that one for a minute, and maybe we'll get another one like next year, but I wanna every other year, or every year buy one.
So if you
Hers
want,
is 18,
right, but so if Karen gets a new one this year, we give Robert that one.
yes,
What are
we
we
can
gonna
use hers for the minute. till we
Oh,
buy a new
her
one.
old one.
Yes.
Okay.
It's old and the battery's like $600 and the computer, cheap now.
Because I think, Chris quoted Karen $1,000 for the laptop and all the software that goes on it, so that is $3,000.
Every year, or no, but not divided by 3, so it'd be $1,000.
$1,000 a year.
That way it puts out over time. You go through, like, computer last you at least 5 years. Versus an 18. So it's what, 7 years old?
Well, I'm just thinking, you know, I can appreciate the maintenance piece of it, but, you know, we do still have ARPA funds that we need to
And we do need to
use.
burn it up.
So would it be just feasible just to do $3,000 now, get everybody a new computer and then
Yeah,
space it out later down the
we
road?
could.
I mean, I appreciate the maintenance piece of it though, that, you know, spacing them out so that we're not having to replace all of them at once all the time.
Because all our main computers are all brand new, they're only like years old.
Correct,
So they'll be good for quite a long time.
yeah.
Another thing is too, Karen's gonna load up the pickup truck, full of her chairs, go back to, Pasco and see if they were warranty, because we got ones you sit in, you just sit down, disappear. All the ones you flip over backwards on, I forgot the seat split out, I'm like, you know, we got our money, let's see if we get kind of deals on some chairs. And we're gonna check into that, so. I think. Another word.
So election was last Tuesday. We could go this past Tuesday. Jenna did a fabulous job. I had already a vacation planned, so I was not there, but, we had a whopping 35 in-person votes. So, great 17-hour day for Jenna. We not only have the commissioner piece for November, but Monroe County Community College is asking for a millage, a renewal of their millage or a new millage, because their millage got voted down last year, so they put it on the ballot for November. So that will be on. So again, no 9 days of voting or anything. It's just gonna be the one single day. I think it's November 5th actually. So that will be coming around.
Mr. Treasurer.
I think it's pretty good, get an extra day to pay your taxes, go to the 16th instead of 15th, it's, lucky you that Sunday is the 15th. I'm not gonna be, but you can come in, you know, first merchant bank on the 16th, or I'll probably be here too. Come on and see me. That's about it.
Mr. Trustee Straw.
I want to bring up a couple things. So with these things that want to come into this township, there's been several of them in the past 3 years now. So, and I've been asked by a couple of them, what does the township want? So, not that I'm negotiating with them, but it would be good to know if we get into a pickle where we are do or die to something that is gonna go in anyway, you know. If we knew what the people of the township wanted, what are the needs here? You know, we know, at least we believe, water is a big need, and natural gas is a big need. But if there's other needs, you know, we would like to know what those are. Because the DT lady and it wasn't to negotiate, but, you know, she said, we're bringing in jobs, or bringing in this, and I said, we don't need jobs here, you know, and, well, there's gonna be a lot of construction jobs, and I said, we don't need them. She said, what do you need? And so, you know, peace and quiet, that's a good one. But, if there is anything, you know, it would be good to know, hey, this is what we would like in the township. Because, you know, sooner or later, something's gonna get pushed down us here, and, you know, it'll be a battle. If we get to a battle, sometimes you gotta know, you know, when you have a good battle and when you don't have a good battle. If you don't have a good battle, you can maybe get something at the township. But, it's hard to sit in here and talk about something like this and then go and negotiate with somebody. negotiate power, like say, oh my God, they're coming in, we need this bad, well, no, they're already coming in here. Yeah, it's gotta be earlier in the stage, but, it's just, there's a lot of things, community, they call it different stuff, like when landfill, community benefits, when landfills go into places, they get tipping fees, go to the, the communities, township or the municipality. And, like Sumter's, they bought, fire trucks, they bought fire trucks when that went in over there, the big landfill. But, gravel pit, those kind of things, those big items that go in, they want it bad. And, they might buy a fire truck. But not that I want a landfill, don't get me wrong, I just want, if somebody says, hey, what does your township need? And if I say, yeah, we want water on all the main roads here, and if they say, okay, we'll do it, that's something that the township might want to think about, the community, not me, not us up here, if people say, yeah, that would be a good idea, if we could get water in here, we'll go ahead and say, put in the damn cell. Right. It's something I think we need to think about, and it's not right now, but we do have to think about it. The fire meeting. I went to the fire meeting for the first time, and it's important that we get people there to know what's going on, because to me, the way to fix a problem isn't to put a millage in. That might be the last resort, but that's not the first resort. The first resort, maybe you can do something a different way. Don't just shove a millage, say, oh, we need a new truck, we're gonna put a millage on the township to buy a new truck. Well, maybe if we handle the money differently, we could have bought a new truck. But, so it's good to go. I'd like to have people there so they can see what's going on. And I don't want to come in here and say, okay, we're gonna put in a millage of X 1, 2, 3, whatever it is, because we need this and that. I don't believe in putting in millages left and right. I don't care for it, and I don't care for the way state taxes people. Get away with the tax, headly or whatever it was. Everybody, everything has to have a millage now. So it would be good to have people there so you see what's going on. So I'm good. I'll get off that.
Trustee Toll was absent, and then I just want to know staff here today either, just one quick thing, please send your comments on what you feel about all this, what's going on, I need to know. We're trying to make a decision what's best for our township, and I want it's best for everybody, not just me or us, all of us. Please email me in the comment or call me, I definitely want something. Moving on to public comment for 5 minutes.
With this fire thing that you guys are talking about, will they talk to you about the fiscal responsibility? Did you get an accounting sheet? How were they when you asked for accountability and responsibility with it?
It took me about 4 months of consistently asking. It was a frustrating situation. But again, I mean, so our fiscal year ends about 3 or 4 months before ours ends in what? March. Theirs doesn't end until July, or end of June. So we were asking we started talking about our budget in February, and we allocated our budget based on what we spent last year, and I brought up multiple times that
we spent way more last year on the fire department because there was overdue, invoices that I could not get any closure on. So I finally was able to get closure on all of those, so our budget looked like we spent almost $100,000 more than what we did, because I spent for invoices for 3 years. So I started asking for information probably April, May, and then they really didn't bring us any budgets until, well, it's probably earlier than that, during our budget year. And I finally just got what I needed in June. And when I say what I needed, there's still things I can't decipher because it's not super specific. It's just numbers. So I know when Shelby and Mark went to the last meeting, I took the agenda, and how the fire board meetings kind of go is they're supposed to look at all the bills for the last 2 months, because they only meet every 2 months. And so I went through and I highlighted everything that I had questions on, because I wasn't gonna be able to be there. And from what I understood from Mark and Shelby, it was very difficult to get that information of what these vendors are. Why do we have 3 DTE bills coming out in a month and a half's time? Why do we have 3 Verizon bills coming out in a month and a half's time? Those are the same type of bills that I pay every month, and I only have 1 for each of those types of vendors. So it's not that we hadn't asked, it was just very difficult to get what we needed. And I don't even know if we have what we need to really decipher how money was spent the last year.
That's what we're reading once a month, until we get it figured out. Anybody else?
Same on the CO2 data, whatever. On the CO2, maybe, I know you said email it to me, but I'm just gonna put it out there because I want everyone to know every time we talk about it, is that the quarry blasts every other day. And I keep bringing it up to everyone who will listen. And is there a setback for that in the ordinance? I don't know, I didn't see it, Tuesday. But is there something in there about that? And then, I don't know, I mean, I don't have Facebook, so I get all my info from my mom who has Facebook. I don't know if it's like a thing, if like the townships don't talk to each other or whatever, you know, like, but with this stuff, it's so close to Dundee. I'm in Dundee Township. I'm just a citizen. It's close to me, but I would like to see more like communication, I guess, between London, Dundee, Milan. Just because, you know, say something does happen to wells, they assure you it won't, but say something happens to wells drying up. What if there's something in Milan that says, well, you know, if a well dries up in Milan, we'll pay for it. Say they say that. Well, if a well dries up in Dundee or London Township because of something that's in Milan Township, what are the, you know, is there anything in place for Dundee, London, anything like that, because they're so close?
Good question.
So just kind of the same, I guess, not perks that they give you, but the same things that you're talking about with like asking projects or anything like that. That you have water, gas, whatever, be talked about at Dundee or London. And again, I've been to a couple Dundee meetings recently, but I don't know what's on their next meeting agenda, but I will go and I will bring it up to them about this stuff happening, because as far as they know, nothing's happening. Like, I called the supervisor and told him that this meeting was today, and I didn't hear anything back. I just don't know if he was in or anything, but I was surprised that there was no one in a position, or I don't know, so at the Tuesday meeting or at the Thursday meeting, or really at the open house. And so that's just kind of a.
I'm actually going to the next Dundee Township meeting.
Yeah, so that's just kind of a, I don't know, maybe the Facebook's the wrong way to go about it too. I mean, I don't know, newspapers, I know it's probably in your local newspaper, but is it in the other areas local newspaper, since it's on Old Road? Like, people, you know, have a clue where OP Road is. They're like, oh, that's close to me. Oh, is that Dundee Town? You know, they actually start to question about it.
Because I know with the
kind of like when you guys get flyers and stuff, when something's happening, that's more like when a project is actually coming.
Right.
It's kind of hard, you know, I guess that is maybe a question I need to ask everybody else. How do you guys want information? Because we try to put everything on the website, we try to put everything on Facebook, short of spending
Right, yeah.
thousands of dollars every time, you know, we have a
Right,
public
or-
hearing. How else could we?
Putting it on different townships' Facebooks, you
Yeah.
know, or like, hey, all the supervisors or whoever got together and they decided that, you know, this is an important meeting, maybe they should all be at, maybe we're all gonna put it on our websites, pages, whatever, for people to look at.
Anybody else? Carol?
So maybe it would be an idea to have, before your next meeting or our next meeting, to have an open house where everybody could voice their concerns, because a lot of people that you talk to don't even know what an AI or data center is yet. And maybe we could, you'll probably get a few more people than what's here tonight, but explain the things that's going on, and I would probably involve postcard and invite. But I think we could afford to send that out and, you know, kind of outline what the topics are to discuss so that we could get more input. Because you might get emails from who's here, but not a lot more than from who's here. So just an idea.
Well, there's some people here to go out and tell your neighbors, and let them know too, this is important. It's very important.
But to see something on a piece of paper is different than just stopping by and saying, well, it's really important to go to a meeting.
Yes. Anybody else?
I just wondered how when the sheriff report that you gave, does that include when he's on my road and stops a truck?
Yes.
Or is that, okay,
That's everything.
so I do think there's less trucks. However, I saw one today that reminded me of another project, and where are we in that? And this is a big old Corrigan tanker coming from Lenawee County, straight across county line, past my house.
They're actually doing, well, they were, all the tankers, they got a lot of phone calls, or that's kind of funny.
About this guy? About the Corrigan truck?
Yeah, because what they're doing, they're actually splitting chloride and brine, or no, brine, because chloride comes from Canada, the brine comes from there, they got a well up in.
So he's hauling the chloride? He was spraying nothing.
No, like, right, but they were, but they're running down these roads and are trying to get back as quick as they can to go get more to keep them.
So they were on the dirt roads, they have to,
Yeah.
which are all non-truck route roads, but they're doing work, so they have to cut through to get to where they need to go.
We put a lot of we did an experiment this year with, completely brine the road, and then down the middle, we put chloride, and it's supposed to be. Gets me out, we're
This
trying
is
it out
for
so far,
dust?
so
Yeah.
Okay, but this guy, I'm talking about transport, you're talking about application. Are we talking about the same thing here?
yeah.
So this guy was coming to bring it to who's ever gonna put it on the roads? Okay,
The
No, it
big
was
tanker
legit.
trucks put it straight on the road.
well, he wasn't doing nothing, and I'm on a Darbound Road. This is asphalt and my
Well, I
road.
know, but they still gotta get to the other roads, they gotta go down county line to do that road, they gotta get down Cooper to do ours, they gotta. go
They're
off
probably
Milwaukee.
cutting down to get to either where they needed to go on a dirt road or back to where they
Maybe
were
they come
going.
down Cooper, we're done, and then
Okay,
took
They,
off
they
one down.
were actually spraying with their Corrigan trucks.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
So
the
that
one
was
that
your question.
Yeah.
no, I didn't know that was going on, I didn't know what he was doing. But he's not spraying on my road, I hope, because I'm
No.
not dusty.
No,
I'm
no,
not
I
on a
don't know.
dirt road, so for God's sakes, I hope he's got that straight.
No, we don't want you on your road, no.
All right. I mean, I don't, and I didn't know this
Oh, I got
project was going on. So then what is going on down here? Is this over? Done? Did they get their ditch? What's up?
It's up in the air right now. I talked to Mr. Corrigan last week, because they actually are paying for the sign down there, the blinking sign, and it's still on order. I know it'll show up. And I said, you guys were supposed to kind of start in June. He goes, well, we kind of lost the contract with the semi-trailers, but we're gonna go ahead and, for now. He said, but they're still gonna put the parking lot in, get it all done up, and then they said, we'll come back to us later when we figure out what we're gonna do. At least
Okay.
they'll clean it up.
Just
I'm
curious.
good with it.
They're on a time anyway. That's not
They're
open. That's time. They're not on an open contract. after, they gotta start, doing work, I think, in 1 year, and they gotta be done within 3.
Yeah.
Or the deal's going.
Yeah. Or everything that we just, or they
Approved,
worked on
yes.
is revoked.
Yes,
They're
off the
back to
table.
goes back, yeah.
Correct.
Possibility.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Anybody online?
Mr. Wilkie, if I may, please.
Yes, sir.
Anthony Burdick with the consultancy. Thank you for allowing me to attend. I know I dropped a good clerk a note as well prior. I'd like to come back September 11th, where you had a meeting on that day. It's Patriot Day, so. I wasn't sure.
September, yes.
Yeah, we were perfect. If you don't mind, I'll come back then. If you could distribute the materials that I gave you, that'd be great. But I've got to tell you, I spend a lot of time in front of councils, board meetings, commissions over 3 counties. You folks do a great job. Very smooth, very informational, very effective. Good for you. I have a couple of things I'd like to follow up with you, sir, if I can, after for about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Other than that, thank you, and appreciate you letting me take it all in.
No problem. So make a motion to call the meeting at 8:26 PM. All in favor? Opposed?
On the record books.
Well, you know what?
Take more time.
Everyone here is saying, "Oh, good." But, you know,